Hello and welcome to my latest experiment. This is a piece of vinyl holographic sticker paper that is printable, something that you can use in your inkjet printer. And it is a 7.5 by 10-inch piece so that I can mat it later on. But what I'm doing on this very loud, visually loud piece of paper is I'm laying down some blocking out white Brilliance pigment ink, okay? This Brilliance pigment ink is a fast-drying water-based pigment ink, and it just works perfectly with this type of sticker paper. And that's because this printable sticker paper is meant to accept dye-based inks out of your home inkjet printer, okay? It's a printer paper. So it's, as far as I understand it, it's made to be used with water-based inks, and these water-based inks adhere to the surface really well. Okay, now in this case, I'm using this white pigment ink, applying with a cotton ball, and I'm doing it in the form of some clouds. I was doing some hand, just free-form applications of it with a cotton ball. Now I'm using this little, hand-torn paper towel here to use as a little bit of a template to get some extra cloud formations, extra billowy formations within that space there, okay? I haven't really figured out the exact composition that I'm going to be doing at this point in time, working on this scene, and I do change it around a little bit from my initial intentions to the final result. Here's the large Lakeside Cabin Art Foamies stamp, and I'm stamping it out in a hybrid black pigment ink. Well, it's not a pigment ink, it's a hybrid ink, but it's kind of like a pigment ink that has some dye-based ink used in it. You can use just about any type of ink though, okay? I wouldn't use a fast-drying solvent ink or something like that, but just about anything else will work. Okay, going on with the same ink on the Rocky Peaks Art Foamies stamp here. And you can see these stamps are really large, and they fill in these spaces very nicely in these large format pieces. Okay, I decided I'm going to mask off my trees here a little bit, and we're going to get this Rocky Peaks kind of coming up from the background clouds. It gives it a little bit of majesty. Having some clouds at the base of the mountain makes it look a little bit higher. But that's stamped out black, as we intended it to. But here I'm adding some additional pigment ink at the base of it, and I'll add some more, a little bit at the top, and a couple little other areas in here, just to integrate the mountain stamp within those clouds. So you put some white in back of the stamp, and then you put some white in the front of the stamp, and it just seems a little bit more, kind of embedded in those cloudy formations there. All right, now one of the absolutely killer applications of this Brilliance ink on this printable vinyl sticker paper is that that surface accepts the Brilliance inks so well, and it dries very quickly, to the point where you can add colored pencils right onto the Brilliance white ink, okay? So it's pretty accepting of your softer types of colored pencils. I guess it would work with harder ones, but it wouldn't probably adhere as easy as your softer types of colored pencils. I've heard Prismacolors are some of the softest. That just happens to be one of the brands that I already had, so those ones are working really nicely. I'm developing my shadows up on those mountains with some additional blue tones going into my water down there. Now, I don't find these pencils, I don't find them capable of applying directly onto the vinyl sticker paper, but I can apply it over the top of anywhere where I've applied the white Brilliance ink. It has something to grab onto. Otherwise, the paper is just too slick to accept the colored pencils. So in the clouds and the mountain, I'm applying various shades of blue, and on the cabin, various shades of brown. Going into the mountain peaks with this acrylic white paint pen, giving those peaks a little bit more of a reflective, kind of a snowy capped appearance with this more opaque white, okay? And you can see where there's a little bit of a change on there, just in terms of the, I don't know, the reflective quality of this thicker paint being applied here. Thicker white than the cotton ball applied brilliance ink, that is, okay? And trying to make that rooftop seem a little bit more, kind of snow-covered right there with the pen. This one happens to be a 3mm white paint pen. I usually wouldn't use that on a like a card size piece, like a quarter page, you know, standard card size piece. But on these larger images, you can use these larger types of applicators, mediums, I guess you can say, just because it's just the imagery is just so much larger. Okay, adding some foreground in here. I didn't think it needed this, but I thought, yeah, it pushes the depth a little bit more by having these reeds here in the foreground. It pushes depth and it kind of frames off the bottom of the scene. Yeah, it's just stamping them in black. Okay, adding some texture up into that sky with some Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white and a splatter painting style of application. You can't really see it when the light's reflecting, but if you kind of, you know, turn the card at a certain angle like that, it's like going from day to night or something like that. You can see those little dots up there in the form of stars. Okay, going in with my 0.7mm acrylic paint pen, adding in some larger stars into that texture. And this is such a large scene, I thought I'm going to have some fun here and add in some of these clear crystals. And I just applied some little dots of glue down there like that. And these crystals kind of stand out, maybe a little bit too much at certain angles. It looks really good if you have it tilted where it looks like a night scene, but during a daytime scene it looks like, I don't know, these kind of weird things kind of sticking out. But I wanted to have some fun, and I just think that if you give a card like this, I don't know, can you call a full page scene a card still? I guess it's a really big card or something like that, but I think people appreciate seeing this little twinkly little elements there. Some, you know, a little bit of bling, as you might, you know, call it. A little bit of reflective elements that kind of adds a little bit of a charm to the piece. You can see those crystals up in the sky like that right now. Okay, now integrating the Lakeside cabin into the scene a little bit more. We have that white Brilliance ink in the background, adding some white Brilliance ink here in front of the cabin, and there you have it. You have this fairly large scene. It didn't take too long to do. The techniques are fairly simple with not too many colors added in the form of the Brilliance ink and the black impressions, and some colored pencils. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching.